Happy Monday. Happy 2022. We are through the Christmas season, and for us at Family of God, to be honest, that is a little bit of a relief. Thank you all for those of you that helped to contribute during the holiday. I say this all the time. We can't do what we do without the volunteers, and there were so many people, so many churches that really helped to make Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, all that good stuff, to make that special for our people. So thank you for your ongoing support. Thank you for your ongoing prayers and finances and all those things. It really does mean the world to us. So on behalf of Pastor Hill and Vicar Nick and Pastor Tim and all of the volunteers that are there, thank you so very much. I know we haven't done this in a couple of weeks. Obviously, we did have Christmas, and we had Christmas 2 weeks ago, and then the Monday after Christmas, Brandy and I were actually out of town. We had an opportunity to go to Florida, and just kind of the after action reviews kind of took a back seat for a hot second. The other thing was, some of you that may be friends with me on my regular Facebook page may have seen that I got rid of my Facebook. I couldn't do it anymore. As someone who battles a lot of mental things, it was one of those things that when you log into Facebook and you see the ongoing just the meanness of people, the narcissism, just the things that make you angry, things that make you sad, things that make you grieve. For all of the good things that I think social media contributes to our lives, I actually think that it does more not so good things. So I moved to only Instagram and Twitter and got rid of Facebook. So I was trying to figure out, okay, if I got rid of Facebook, how am I going to be able to continue to post these? So fortunately, I did figure out a way to do that, and that's how I'm able to post today on the Facebook page. So it is good to be back with you. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about just anything today. Got a lot going on today, but I do want to share with you the text that I used yesterday in the sermon. Pastor Hill preached at Family of God. He preached a wonderful Epiphany sermon, and I loved the connection that he made when he was talking about the wise men and the coming to see Jesus, and the epiphany of this is the beginning of Jesus showing himself, revealing himself to the Gentiles, and then all of this culminates again at Pentecost, after Jesus has died, after he has been raised, after he has ascended into heaven, and then we have Pentecost, 10 days after the ascension, and that's when, if you recall, that's when everyone is speaking in different languages, and everyone can understand in their own language, and that's really kind of the birth of the church as we know it. And I loved the analogy that Pastor Hill used yesterday in with his sermon. He said that if Pentecost is the explosion of the church, then Epiphany is the fuse. Epiphany is what starts that. Epiphany is when that little flame from your lighter lights the fuse, and then you just hear psst, because you're going to see Jesus do all these cool things, and he's going to certainly be revealing himself to Gentiles throughout his ministry. But ultimately, you're going to see this whole thing explode when Pentecost happens. So pretty awesome sermon that we got to enjoy yesterday. I had the opportunity yesterday to go to University Lutheran Chapel in Ann Arbor to share God's word with our friends there, and they've been a wonderful supporter for a couple of years now, continuing to help with packaging lunch boxes for our street ministry and the park ministry, financially supporting in a number of different ways. One of the churches that helped us to get a new roof. So thank you again if you happen to be watching this and you attend University Lutheran Chapel. And of course, their pastor, Pastor Gabe, happens to be a really good friend of mine as well. So it was an awesome day with them, and I got to actually close out a series that they've been going through during the Christmas season, during the Advent season, called Come and See, which was actually really perfect for us because Family of God is a very come and see kind of ministry. So I want to read for you the text, and I'm going to provide the link to go and listen to the sermon if you feel so inclined. If you don't, totally understand. Totally understand. Especially if you were in church yesterday. Excuse me, my office is really dry, so I just need we need a dehumidifier. Brandon and I were talking about how we needed a dehumidifier up here, or a humidifier up here, because it's already dehumid. But if I get to a little like that, it's just because I started off fine, and now I'm like, man, this is kind of weird. But anyway, excuse me. So the text that I want to share with you today that I got to preach on yesterday, the series Come and See was working through John chapter 1. And I said, are we going to continue to read John after this? Because John is one of my favorite books of the Bible. I said yesterday, it's a top 4 gospel for me. Obviously, if you don't know, there is only 4 gospels. But I do like John because John's very unique. It's not like the synoptics. It's not like Matthew, Mark, or Luke, because Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they talk more in narrative style, where they talk about who kind of what Jesus did and kind of document those historical events. Luke's very historical with his dates and his people and things like that. Matthew's, of course, is speaking to the Jews, and Mark is just bang, 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 fast paced. That word immediately happens all the time in Mark. John, if you were to kind of compare John to the 3 of them, John doesn't just talk about different events that happen in Jesus' life. John is very focused on allowing the reader to know who Jesus is, what the heart of Jesus is. So you're going to see Jesus talk about the I am statements in John. You're going to hear a very detailed account of what happens in the upper room with Jesus washing his disciples' feet, and kind of what is happening before the crucifixion. This is where you find his prayer in great detail about what Jesus is praying about, what he's thinking about before he's crucified. It's just a really, really, really awesome book. In fact, Luther encourages people to start with John and then go to Romans when they're first reading the Bible. So it's a pretty important book. But the text that I want to share with you today might be familiar, especially if you do know Family of God. It's the account of Jesus calling Philip and Nathanael. So I'll just read this for you. This comes from John chapter 1, verses 43 through 51. He says this. He says, "The next day Jesus decided to go to Galilee. He found Philip and said to him, 'Follow me.' Now Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. And Philip found Nathanael and said to him, 'We have found him of whom Moses and the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph.' And Nathanael said to him, 'Can anything good come out of Nazareth?' Philip said to him, 'Come and see.' And Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him and said of him, 'Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no deceit.' Nathanael said to him, 'How do you know me?' And Jesus answered him, 'Before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you.' And Nathanael answered him, 'Rabbi, you are the Son of God, you are the King of Israel.' And Jesus answered him, 'Because I said to you, I saw you under the fig tree, do you believe? You will see greater things than these.' And he said to him, 'Truly I say to you, you will see heaven opened, and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man.'" So a great text for us to kind of meditate on today, especially even if you want to make that Epiphany connection, because we are going to be celebrating Epiphany this week. I think it's Wednesday, maybe Thursday. And when you think about the Epiphany, think about the light being made known and Jesus revealing himself, and this is really this text in and of itself is a revelatory text, because Jesus intentionally seeks out Philip. Jesus then reveals knowledge of Nathanael that Nathanael didn't even know that Jesus was watching him. This kind of supernatural kind of knowledge that when he saw him under the fig tree, and that all of which lead to confession. Jesus coming and seeking out Philip leads to his following of Jesus. Jesus revealing himself and revealing knowledge of Nathanael to Nathanael incites a confession, a wonderful confession. You are the Messiah, you are the King of Israel. And then all of that culminating of, hey, you guys know who I am. You know that I'm the Messiah. You know I'm the Christ. But you're going to see even greater things than these. You're going to see heaven opened up. And what I'm going to talk about in the sermon, which we're going to be heading over there here pretty soon. that the heavens opening up and the angels of ascending and descending. This is Jesus pointing us and his disciples back to Genesis 28, if I recall correctly, which is Jacob's dream, when he has this dream of the ladder. You might remember the ladder, where the ladder comes from heaven and reaches the earth, and you've got the angels ascending and descending there. And God is speaking to Jacob, reaffirming that promise that was first given to Abraham, then reaffirmed and given again to Jacob, and then eventually it's going to be given again to David, and then all of this culminates in Jesus. So Jesus, when Jesus talks about how the heavens are going to be opened up and you're going to see the angels ascending and descending, he's not literally talking about that. I mean, I guess that could happen, but he's talking about that he is the fulfillment of that promise. Those promises that are made back in Genesis, where Jacob sees the ladder, where God is with him, God descends to him and stands next to him. There's this connotation that Jesus is the greater Israel. Jesus is the greater Jacob. He's the greater Israel. He's the greater Moses. He's the greater Isaiah. He's the greater. Jesus is always the greater. He's the fulfillment. He is where God reveals himself, is in Christ. And when Jacob wakes up from his dream and he says, "This is the house of God. I've surely seen the gate of heaven." This is Jesus again saying to Nathanael, saying to Peter, saying to Andrew, saying to Philip, saying to his disciples, saying to you and me, that Jesus, that I am where God dwells. God is revealing himself to man in me. And ultimately, because of that, because you have been brought into me, and because you have communion with me, you now have constant communion with the Father in prayer and word and sacrament. It's just a wonderful depiction and a wonderful imagery that Jesus offers us here of this relationship that we have with God. And it's just a wonderful text. And so I'm going to ask you if you'd like to head on over to ULC's ULC. You can listen to the sermon on ULC's website. If you go and follow the prompts for the sermons, come and see. It's probably at the bottom of the page. I don't know if that's being posted today or not, but you can, because I reviewed my sermon yesterday when I got home from church. I know that you can go to ULC's YouTube page, and if you just search, University Lutheran Chapel Ann Arbor, you can find that there and take a listen if you'd like. I'll post in this Facebook group about where the sermon starts, unless you want to listen to the entire service. It was a beautiful service, lots of good music, and of course we celebrated the sacrament as well there. So you can go ahead and go do that. I'm going to leave you all today with this, continuing to pray for all of you. If you have prayer requests, please let us know. You can either get in contact with me through Twitter or Instagram or texting, email, however you want to do that. If you have prayer requests, if you want to come and see Family of God, we're open all week this week. Bible study tonight with Pat. Ron and Susan will be leading the men's and women's Bible study tomorrow. I'll be leading worship on Wednesday. We do have clinic on Thursday, and then Friday I think we're going to be closed. We're continuing to pray for Deacon John. Deacon John's having some major health struggles. He's fine, but he really desires our prayers. As I talked to him actually over the weekend, and he's doing good, but just continue to pray for his recovery. So I think that's all I got for you. Have a great week, everybody. I am praying for all of you. Go with God's peace and his grace and his mercy, living today as a loved child of him. Have a great week. Talk with you all next time. Next time, we're going to be talking about the baptism of Jesus, so that's going to be awesome, and maybe be reminding of our own baptisms. So go with God's peace today. If no one's told you yet, God loves you. So have a great week, everybody.